up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Why? Well, members get exclusive content. Picking it up for my members now. Picking it up. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you will receive a notification every time that I drop a video. You can go and check the video out. Leave a comment and like the video. If you support me, support the content, support my channel. As promised, I'm about to get into a bit of different content. This story is about Sade Robinson, the 19-year-old black woman who was unalived on April 1st, just a few weeks ago, and her body was dismembered. Body parts have been found everywhere. She went on a first date with a 33-year-old man named Maxwell Anderson, and she never made it home. A sad, tragic situation. Let's get into it.
Murdered on a first date. That's what police in Milwaukee say happened to Sade Robinson. The beautiful, vibrant 19-year-old college student was a beloved daughter, sister, and friend. On April 1st, her life was cut tragically short in the most unthinkable way. Police say Sade Robinson was murdered, her body dismembered, and her car set on fire. All this after a first date, a dinner together.
So a first date, as I said, and her car was set on fire with her clothes in there and her body dismembered, and she was 19 years old. 19.
At a seafood restaurant. Beautiful Sade Robinson never made it back home. Police say that they have their suspect behind bars. The man who went on that date with Sade, his name is Maxwell Anderson. And if what police say he did is true, this guy is a monster from down below. And if he killed her and dismembered her body, may he pay dearly for the crimes with the harshest penalties the law allows. You know,
this lady here, Julia, she's clearly upset. Everyone is upset about this news of this beautiful young lady whose life was tragically cut short just a few weeks ago on April 1st. She innocently went out on a first date with someone. I don't know how they met. Apparently, maybe they met on the internet. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to confirm that yet. I'm assuming that they met on the internet. This is where most of these dates meet, where you meet someone on the internet and you're about to go on a first date with them, and then you meet up with them somewhere. Apparently, they went back to his house after the date at this seafood restaurant. In fact, I'm now about to play a video that was recorded on Fox Soul. They have a show there with Al Reynolds, the ex-husband of Star Jones that used to be a host on that TV show, The View, the black lady Star Jones. Claudia Jordan, she's a model, an ex-model, and some other dude that's sitting next to her. And they're going over this case about Sade Robinson. And it appears that perhaps Al Reynolds appears to blame almost Sade Robinson for what happened, for going out on a date with a white man. That's what it appears to me. And then his friend doubles down. You tell me what you think. You give me your opinion.
A 33-year-old white man in Milwaukee is facing charges for murdering and dismembering a 19-year-old black woman after their first date. Maxwell Anderson is facing charges of murder, arson, and mutilating the corpse of Sade Robinson, but it doesn't end there. Sources are tying another young teen who reportedly went missing a few years ago near the same area that Sade was last seen.
So this is another young teen, another beautiful young black woman, as we can see, that went missing in the same area. And I've read news reports since that they suspect perhaps this guy Maxwell Anderson of committing other horrific crimes, other horrific unalivings. That in fact, this more than likely was not his first offense. This is what they're speculating so far. And again, as you can see, now there's speculation about this young black woman who went missing before. Also a young black woman, I believe she said that she was 19 years old as well. This black lady right here, who also went missing under suspicious circumstances in the same area. But I know often, and I guess that this guy before had only been cited, had a record for something small, some sort of run-ins or something. He had never been in prison, never had a record, so they felt like it's a big stretch for him to go to just having parking tickets or whatever, to unaliving viciously and brutally a 19-year-old child / woman and dismembering her body and then putting her body parts all over Milwaukee. They've been finding body parts everywhere of the beautiful Sade Robinson. Rest in peace to Sade Robinson. A sickening crime. But listen again to what Al Reynolds eventually has to say about Sade Robinson and the brutal unaliving of her.
To the case. Now, apparently, the now deceased victim and the missing teen went to elementary school together and worked at the same pizza shop years later. Wow. What are your thoughts on this tragic story, Armand? What do you think?
That's so eerie. It's giving Jeffrey Dahmer, just, the straight version. I don't know. It just feels like, these kind of white men, kind of weirdos, like fetishizing over black girls. I wouldn't be surprised if he slept with her and then, murdered her. Like, this gives me...
So this is not the guy I was talking about. This is the guy that doubles down eventually. The other guy, Al Reynolds, the light-skinned guy with the glasses, he was the one married to Star Jones at some point, or before. And this guy here, he just says that white men have a sort of fetish with black women and younger black women, and then he goes on to say that he wouldn't be surprised if this guy Maxwell Anderson first slept with Sade Robinson at his home, took her home at their seafood restaurant, their first date, and then slept with her to live out his sick fantasy, and then brutally unalived her. This is what he's saying. Because that's what he just said it. I wouldn't be surprised if he slept with her first, because reports say that she went to his house for hours, so that he had some sick fantasy. He just said that white men tend to have some sort of fetish with black women.
Some sort of weird fetish kink, and it's really unsafe, and it's really unfortunate. It's scary, because we've seen it happen to men before, and now it's happening to young girls. I don't know. I don't like it. It's very scary.
All right, Al.
It's very interesting that you said that, Armand, because after they met for the date, she went back to his house and spent a few hours. After a few hours, that's when he was seen coming out, but she wasn't, right? And he ended up taking her car and driving through this fence at a park where this lake was, and kind of dumped the remains. But when the cops went to his house, Armand, they found a sex dungeon in the basement. So that, you might be onto something, that maybe he's fetishizing against whatever that word is, against black women, right? If the match is with the other case, the missing teen.
So that's Al Reynolds, who says, hey, you might be on to something, because he had a sex dungeon in his house. And the reports say that she went back to his house for hours, and that he came out and she did not. Well, could he have been in there brutally unaliving her all of that time and dismembering her body? I would imagine that dismembering someone's body takes a lot of work, particularly if you're alone. Think about it, all the work that goes into something like that. But according to these two, and according to Al, because the dude had a sex dungeon, perhaps she went back, had sex with him, and then he unalived her to live out his sick fetish. And he's almost victim shaming. He's almost blaming the victim. And he's going to continue down that vein.
My thing here is two things. One, this is what you got to worry about when you go to the other side, right? Everybody said black men are treating you so bad. So listen, this is some of the things that you got to worry about when you go to the other side and date non-black men. Number one. Number two, this is what.
This is what happens when you go to the other side, he says. Y'all say black men are so bad. Black men, he wants to go on. We've all heard the story. Black men beat you. They're lazy. They're bums. They're gang-banging thugs. And so you go get yourself a white man thinking they're so much better. And look what happens. This is what he's saying. Hey, this is what happens when he's almost non-remorseful. He has a little smirk on his face. This is what happens when you go to the other side. Y'all say black men are so bad, like, oh well. He may as well just say, oh well. He's blaming Sade Robinson, a 19-year-old impressionable girl who doesn't know any better, and impressionable young woman who just wanted to go out on a date. The dude was older, 14 years her senior, at 33 years old, and he happened to be a white man. And this dude here, I don't know, he's saying that be careful what you look for. Be careful what you ask for. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. He's saying, essentially, you went to the other side thinking that white men are better than black men, and this is what ended up happening to you. Do you still think that black men are the ones that are violent and so abusive? This is his attitude. What do you guys think? Do you think that race had anything to do with it? Apparently he does, and his friend right here is going to double down.
Why you should be allowed to ask any question you want on your first date. I feel like had she probably asked more questions about his background, more about him, then she may have seen one or two red flags that could have possibly, kind of saved her from this very, very tragic ending. So I think women should definitely, especially black women, you need to be more careful. You need to be more careful, period. Especially first dates going home with guys that you just met. And you should not be afraid to ask any question, any amount of questions when you're getting to know someone that you don't know.
I don't want to put blame on this victim for her dying and being murdered. This is some weird stuff right here. This is a him thing,
So Claudia, she recognizes what Al did immediately. And she starts off by saying, I don't want to put blame on the victim. This is a him thing. So she too believes that Al was blaming the victim shaming Sade Robinson by saying, hey, this is what happens when you go to the other side. So she immediately says, no, we don't want to blame her. This is a him thing, she says. This is a him thing, meaning Maxwell Anderson. He did this all on his own. He's the sick individual. If he's guilty, he's the alleged perpetrator, and he alone should bear the blame and not Sade Robinson. But again, this other guy right here with this earring in his right ear right here, this big old stupid looking earring, he's gonna double down after she tries to clean it up.
Who knows what the conversation was, and who knows what he did to her? Did he drug her? Did he take her back to the house? Did she go on voluntarily? We don't know a lot of that stuff. And if her family's watching this, I'd hate for them to think that we're blaming her in some regard. And
You think?
it doesn't just have to be a white man. People right now are just kind of crazy. Like, we do these stories all the time where People are just, I hate that we're just so far away from humanity. I hate that we're going on a date with someone to just try to get to know someone could end in you being dismembered or murdered like this. And that we can't even trust that in having drinks with someone, you know? And I think this is really sad. And a lot of times when things happen to women when they're raped or when they're murdered, the blame usually falls on, well, what were you wearing? Well, you shouldn't have went with them. Well, you should do a better job of vetting. And it's like, well, what about who's raising these people? How are you like this? Why are you? And I don't think this is his first.
She's right. She's talking about how women are often blamed when something happens to them. You know, some sort of assault. Like she said, well, what were you wearing? Why were you there at the club? Or why were you there at his house? Why were you drinking? Why were you drunk? Why did you get in the car with him? You didn't even know him, etc. And while some of these things may have something to it, at the end of the day, the guilt and the blame always rests with the perpetrator. Because regardless of what the woman did, that does not give this person a right to abuse her. That's the bottom line.
Time. And I just feel like there's just a lot of really sick people out here in this world. It's gonna make people just, we talked about virtual and holograms and all that kind of stuff and robots. Maybe sign me up for one of them things because I'm scared of people right now.
Okay, here we go.
Can I just say, I do feel like I heard what you said when you said it's not just white people, but I do gotta say, that side seems to fetishize black men and black women a lot, and it can be dangerous.
You see? So Al says, yeah, perhaps he did sleep with her. He has a sex dungeon. And hey, you want to go to the other side? Y'all say black men aren't any good. This is what happens. And then his buddy, he has earrings in both ears. That's even worse. Look, his buddy over here, Dumb and Dumber, he doubles down and says, but as soon as he cuts off Claudia Jordan, and said, no, but because she tried to clean it up. Say, I don't want to blame the victim. Her family might be watching. They're just sick people out here of all races doing all kind of sick stuff. And he says, but no, I do have to say, like what Al said, these white men seem to have a fetish with black women. And he doubles down. Once again, it's Sade Robinson's fault, according to these two guys right here.
We've talked about it many times on the show. We are people's fetish a lot of times.
And the cutting off the arms and legs, cut off her foot, cut off her leg, cut off her arm. And
I'm sure, black women are usually pretty, in tune. I'm sure he probably was very good at manipulating to kind of get this. A lot of times we're wary of things like spider sense, intuition. So he probably was good at it. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was several more victims that they uncovered. Look at that girl. Beautiful girl.
Very beautiful.
So
very
sorry.
Pretty.
Very beautiful girl. And I don't know if this guy had a fetish or not. Rest in peace to Sade Robinson. Beautiful 19-year-old black woman who, as you can see, was unalived brutally and viciously on April 1st. A lot of the evidence is still coming out. This is, Maxwell Anderson is an alleged perpetrator. He hasn't been found guilty of anything at this juncture. But apparently they went out to a seafood restaurant on a first date and returned to his home for a few hours or what have you, and he had some sort of sex dungeon in there. Who knows what happened in there? What we do know that happened is that she never came out. She lost her life undeservedly at the age of 19 just because she wanted to go into a first date. She did not deserve that, regardless of whatever happened at home. Al Reynolds, she did not deserve death. Rest in peace to Sade Robinson, our beautiful sister. Stay free, people.